Phil Sunday, we had what I think was an all-star game. I'm not too sure. Because,
Uh,
oh, good God.
oh,
So let me get this straight. The NHL, instead of doing an all-star game, comes out with the Four Nations face-off, or whatever it's called. I can't remember. And in the first minute of the USA versus Canada game, there were like three
how about in the
fights.
first 9 seconds? Josh, I
Yes.
don't even know anything about hockey. I was going to throw it in the rundown, but I don't know nothing about hockey. So,
And
but
guess
you know
what?
what?
USA and Canada are set to square off again for the championship on Thursday. Like, and then the NBA comes out and does that. What?
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Um.
uh, I, I,
Okay.
I
So,
would have much rather watched paint dry. Like,
so here's the thing. I think everybody is in agreement that it was more entertainment than basketball. I ended up watching more Shark Tank and Two and a Half Men in the All Star game by the time the second game hit because I was bored out of my mind already. Um, Before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, what were your thoughts on what's disregard Kevin Hart and the entertainment and how long it actually took to play basketball? What were your thoughts on the games themselves? Because I did not. I saw like a flash of defense here and there, but I didn't see anything too crazy.
no, it, it was bad. And I'm sorry, but you can't disregard Kevin Hart and all the entertainment stuff because they made it seem like Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, and Shaq were on their deathbeds.
Yeah, it was weird. They acted like inside the NBA was leaving forever. All it was doing was leaving TNT. That was strange.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And like you could see during that like in between ceremony thing, most of the players were like, really? You could just tell. And
Yeah.
like the Kevin Hart stuff was funny when he was in the celebrity game a couple times, but they just way overdid it. Um,
Let me just say this as well. I know a lot of people have thoughts on this. Um, I think that LeBron was not injured. I have LeBron on my fantasy basketball team this year. He has dealt with ankle and foot soreness all year. He's played for them. I believe in my heart of hearts it was his intention to play in the All Star game. And once he found out this was the shenanigans that was going to happen, I think LeBron himself just made up some injury and pulled himself out of the All Star game. I really believe that.
I can understand where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree, but
I think if this was a real game, LeBron would have played.
either way, I did not agree with him pulling it or
No, that was wrong, and it really was weird. It was not LeBron esque the way he's handled the media the last decade.
it was
So
selfish of him. Like, if whether the injury was real or not, that I'm going to continue to tie your statement in. I don't want to say whether it's true or not because I don't know. But like,
see, I think if LeBron misses, well, I think no matter what, I know that they have a game tomorrow night because they had the makeup game because of the LA Fire. He should not play in that game. If that injury was real, he should not be playing in the game.
I agree with you on that. But if let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the injury was real, just um, like he should have announced it not like an hour before the game, but earlier in the day or the day before. So we could have given that spot to somebody like a
Yes.
Norman Powell who was putting up numbers worthy of being an all-star.
Yeah, Norman Powell, who nobody ever thought before was an all star in his whole career, probably should have made the team this year.
Yeah,
Um,
or even somebody like a LaMelo Ball from the Charlotte Hornets, for
yeah,
example. I
you
do.
know, overall though, to be honest with you, this was a Mickey Mouse All Star game. I mean, who the hell? I was thinking about this when you look back 15, 20 years from now, and you look at the 2025 NBA All Star Game MVP, and you see Steph Curry, and you go, wait, what? He had 11 points in game two? What the hell does that mean? Like, no one's going to understand. They're going to be like, wait, what?
Um, and yeah, on top of that, like I get it why they wanted to have the fourth team and it ended up being the winner of the Rising Stars thing. But seriously, like you're gonna
I
allow
I hated it, and I've always said, and this will lead to our next thing that we'll get into shortly. I don't think young kids, G Leaguers, rising all stars, whatever, they should not be on the stage. That is what Friday night is for, or way back in the day, they buried it Saturday afternoon. The NBA All Star game should be for the best players in the world. And here's the other thing, Josh, that I know that you know that I have been saying for years. In my opinion, All Stars, Pro Bowls, whatever sport, this is not just pertaining to the NBA. I do not think fans should have a say on who goes to the All Star game because fans have biases. You like your favorite players, I like my favorite players. You know who should be deciding the starting lineup and the benches and the teams and all that? It should be media members, it should be players, and it should be teams and executives that are actually in the league because those are the guys that deserve it, not some keyboard warrior going on Twitter tweeting hashtag Norman Powell, for example, 5 times a day to get him into the All Star game. That to me is a joke.
I understand that. Although the fans are a big part of the NBA.
Aren't the fans gonna watch a good product? Would the fans really care if we got LeBron and KD and Steph and Tatum and Giannis and Jokic, and they actually tried? Like that's the thing. That's the only thing. The NBA doesn't need to make all these drastic changes to the All Star game. You know what the players need to try. That's the bottom line. I don't know what started it. I don't know how this thing happened, but the 2020 All Star game that was 4 years ago, that was in honor of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna after they had passed away from that horrific plane crash. That was one of the best All Star games ever. What happened after that? I mean, it's the same concept. What did guys do? Try for Kobe and then say that's it. The All Star game's dead.
I did like the 2022 All Star game. Not even because it was here in Cleveland.
And LeBron hit the game-winning shot, and again, like that was a great All-Star game. To your point, what the hell happened?
I don't know. It's definitely the player's fault, though. It's
Oh,
not.
it's definitely it is the Draymond, LeBron step. It's that era. Draymond Green's got it wrong. It's not these new kids. Like I think Victor, I thought out of the whole weekend, despite how you feel about the skills competition and what Victor Wembanyama and
Oh,
Chris
that
Paul
was that
trying
was
to pull.
hilarious.
By the way, I thought the NBA should have let it happen. No one's barred. I loved it. I thought Victor Wembanyama actually was the only person on Sunday that was legitimately tried.
The NBA could have turned that into a legit moment. Like they should
Yeah,
have
by the
interviewed.
way, they didn't even let Ellie LaForce on TNT interview him. Like, what?
That's what I'm saying. You should have done an interview with them. Like, how long have you been planning this? And all blah 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 blah. But they just like, no, we're gonna dismiss that. No. I like the idea of USA versus the world because again, go back to the four nations over in the NHL. When you put your country on the front of your jersey, like you watch what they're doing in hockey, they actually care. They're trying in these games. Like
So
I
here,
guarantee you that championship game on Thursday night between the US and Canada is going to be must-see TV, just like it was when they played a couple nights ago when it was a bloodbath in the first 9 seconds. Like
so
the
here's my thoughts on USA versus the world, and I like the concept. I do. I think there's two flaws to it. I think
all
number
right.
one, I think that when you look at the USA versus the world, there will still be players on the world roster that still probably shouldn't be all stars. You know,
You mean somebody like a Lowry Markkinen from the Utah Jazz?
yeah, like somebody like that, because they're not going to have 12 guys that are legitimate all stars. So you may get more snubs that way. Here's my other issue. And I don't really want this to get too political, so I'm going to try to be very careful with my words. I think the NHL and hockey, excuse me, and its players and its fans, I think that works because that sport has always been global and those fans have always cared about their country and patriotism and USA and all that. I think that NBA players and the NBA fan base, I don't think they are necessarily big on US versus Canada or US versus France or US versus all that.
Oh, I don't agree
Like
with. I don't agree with that.
I
You
I just I think that when you take a look at what went on in the NBA bubble 4 years ago and everything that happened with the kneeling of the anthem and all that, and players controversially wanting to leave the bubble because they didn't feel safe because of everything that was going on with the George Floyd situation and all that. Like, I just don't think that the NBA players are as passionate about defending this country as the hockey players are. I don't want to make that too political, but that's how I feel.
and I respect that opinion, but I am still going to disagree because you go back and watch these past Summer Olympics, that U.S. versus Serbia semifinal was highly intense, and like that U.S. versus France gold medal game was
That's
fantastic.
because there's a gold medal on the line. I mean, there's a difference between that and an all-star game.
Yes, I understand that, but I think these past Olympics showed that the world is starting to catch up with us. Like it, remember in the gold medal game, it took amazing 3 pointers by Steph Curry to
Yes.
beat to beat France. So you gotta give the French credit for that. And again, go back to that Serbia. I think it was Serbia, right?
I believe so, yeah.
It was in the semifinal. That game came right down to the final seconds.
Yeah.
Like I I understand what you're saying that maybe it's because it was the Olympics, but at the same time, like I think if you do U.S. versus world, you're good. You might not get that level of intensity, but you would get a better product. I think. Here's another example. When the WNBA did their All Star game, they did, I think it was like the WNBA All Stars versus the Olympic team. And that it was a great game.
Yeah.
So they're not going to do the same thing this year probably because there are no Summer Olympics, but still, like that was a great game.
What do you
So
think about this proposal of the 1v1s that have been thrown out there?
I mean, they just did it in the unrivaled basketball league, that 3-on-3 women's league. So it could work, but like, am am I 100% sold on USA versus World? No. I've heard the idea of going back to the East West format and maybe bringing home court advantage in the NBA Finals back into play, which I,
They did it for baseball. It worked for baseball.
yeah, I kind of like that they went away from that though for baseball because like that's the only reason the Indians had home field advantage in the 2016
They
World.
did, but it made the Major League Baseball All Star game must see.
That's true.
Even for teams, for the record, that were like on the fringe playoff wild card teams, we know in baseball wild card teams can make the World Series, so it kind of felt like you had a chance.
Yeah, like Texas and Arizona were both wild card teams,
Yeah.
or when you had the Angels face the Giants in 2002, or Royals Giants in 2014. There's three examples right there. Um,
Okay, so let me ask you this real quick. So me and you both said as we were going off the air last week on Championship Rings, we said this is it for All Star Weekend. They either have to knock it out of the park or it may be the end of All Star Weekend. I floated out on X/Twitter Sunday night. I said I think the NBA needs to take a year off from the All Star game. Announce your All Stars like you on X or celebrate them or do whatever you want to do, but take a year off and figure out what you want to do. What do you think of that idea? Let's just scrap the whole All Star game next year and let's figure this crap out.
It's not a bad idea. I don't think the NBA would actually do that. Because they typically give the All-Star game to cities that can't host bigger events or whatever. That being said, it's the All-Star game is going to be in Los Angeles next year.
And it's going to be the first year on NBC. So they're going to try to do something.
Yes.